Welcome. You are here because something inside you is ready to change. Perhaps you have felt held back by invisible barriers, by thoughts and beliefs that whisper you are not enough, not ready, not worthy. These are limiting beliefs, and they have been shaping your reality far longer than you realize. But tonight, as you listen to these words, you are beginning a profound transformation. You are about to reprogram the deepest layers of your mind, break free from old patterns, and unlock the potential that has always been within you. This is not just another motivational talk. This is a journey into the architecture of your mind, into the subconscious foundations that determine what you believe is possible. Over the next hours, you will learn how limiting beliefs are formed, how they operate beneath your awareness, and most importantly, how they can be dissolved and replaced with empowering truths. You will discover the neuroscience of belief change, the power of subliminal reprogramming, and practical pathways to lasting transformation. As you relax and allow these words to sink deep into your consciousness, know that change is already beginning. Your subconscious mind is listening, absorbing, and preparing to release what no longer serves you. Let yourself settle in, breathe deeply, and trust this process. The version of you that is unlimited, confident, and free is not some distant dream. It is who you truly are, waiting to emerge. Limiting beliefs are the unconscious assumptions and convictions that define the boundaries of what you think is possible for yourself. They are silent rules written in the deepest layers of your psyche, often formed before you had the language to question them. These beliefs act like invisible walls, shaping your decisions, emotions, and behaviors without your conscious awareness. They tell you that you are not smart enough, not attractive enough, not deserving enough. They whisper that success belongs to others, that love is conditional, that safety requires you to stay small. But where do these beliefs come from? Psychological research suggests that the majority of our core beliefs are established in early childhood, particularly between birth and age 7, when the brain operates primarily in theta brainwave states. During these years, the conscious mind has not yet developed its critical faculties, and the subconscious absorbs information like a sponge. Every interaction with caregivers, every overheard conversation, every moment of praise or criticism becomes embedded as truth. If a child hears repeatedly that they are clumsy, that money is scarce, or that expressing emotions is weakness, these messages become foundational beliefs that shape identity and possibility. Cultural and societal influences also play a significant role. The communities we grow up in, the media we consume, and the social structures we navigate all transmit beliefs about gender, success, worthiness, and belonging. Based on what we know about social conditioning, we can assume that many limiting beliefs are not personal failures, but inherited patterns passed down through generations. A family that experienced poverty may unconsciously transmit beliefs about scarcity and survival. A culture that values conformity may instill beliefs that individuality is dangerous. These beliefs become so normalized that they feel like objective reality rather than subjective programming. From a neuroscientific perspective, limiting beliefs function through neural pathways. Every time you have a thought or belief, your brain fires a specific pattern of neurons. The more frequently a thought is repeated, the stronger that neural pathway becomes, creating what neuroscientists call a default network. This could imply that limiting beliefs are not just mental concepts, but physical structures in the brain, pathways that have been reinforced thousands of times until they operate automatically. When you encounter a new opportunity, your brain searches its database of past experiences and beliefs to predict the outcome. If your neural pathways are wired with beliefs of inadequacy, your brain will generate thoughts, feelings, and behaviors consistent with that programming, even if the belief is objectively false. The insidious nature of limiting beliefs is that they create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe you are bad at relationships, you may unconsciously sabotage connections or choose partners who confirm that belief. If you believe success is for others, you may procrastinate, avoid opportunities, or quit before you succeed. Your external reality becomes a mirror of your internal programming. And because you see evidence that confirms your beliefs, they become even more entrenched. This cycle can persist for decades, creating patterns of repeated disappointment, stagnation, and unfulfilled potential. Yet here is the profound truth that modern neuroscience has revealed. The brain is not fixed. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, means that limiting beliefs can be changed at any age. The pathways that were built through repetition can be weakened and replaced with new pathways through intentional reprogramming. This is not wishful thinking. This is the science of transformation, and it is the foundation of the work you are doing right now as you listen to these words. Consider some of the most common limiting beliefs and how they manifest in everyday life. Beliefs about self-worth often sound like, "I am not good enough," or "I do not deserve happiness." These beliefs create chronic anxiety, depression, and a sense of inadequacy that colors every experience. People with these beliefs may achieve external success, yet feel hollow inside, convinced that they are imposters who will eventually be exposed. Beliefs about capability sound like, "I am not smart enough," or "I always fail." These beliefs lead to chronic procrastination, perfectionism, and avoidance of challenges. The person never fully engages with their potential because the belief preemptively predicts failure. Beliefs about scarcity and abundance shape financial realities. Thoughts like, "Money is hard to come by," or "wealthy people are greedy," create subconscious blocks to earning, saving, and investing. Based on what we know about the relationship between beliefs and behavior, we can assume that these beliefs lead to financial self-sabotage, missed opportunities, and chronic stress about resources. Beliefs about relationships determine patterns in intimacy. "I am unlovable," "people always leave," or "vulnerability is weakness," create defenses that push away connection and reproduce experiences of loneliness and rejection. Awareness is the first essential step in transformation. Most people live their entire lives without recognizing that their beliefs are not facts, but interpretations. They accept the inner narrative as truth and never question whether another story is possible. By bringing limiting beliefs into conscious awareness, you begin to disrupt their automatic operation. You create space between the belief and the behavior, and in that space, choice becomes possible. This is why you are here, listening to these words. You are choosing awareness. You are choosing to see the invisible architecture that has shaped your life, and in seeing it, you gain the power to change it. To understand how beliefs can be reprogrammed, we must first understand how they function in the brain. Beliefs are not abstract concepts floating in the mind. They are electrochemical patterns, networks of neurons that fire together in predictable sequences. When neuroscientists say neurons that fire together, wire together, they are describing the mechanism by which beliefs become physical structures. Every time you think a thought, neurotransmitters carry signals across synapses, creating temporary connections. With repetition, these connections strengthen and become permanent pathways. This could imply that changing a belief is not just about changing your mind, but literally rewiring your brain. The brain operates at different frequencies depending on your state of consciousness. Beta waves, ranging from 13 to 30 Hz, dominate during active, focused, analytical thinking. Alpha waves, 8 to 12 Hz, appear during relaxed awareness and light meditation. Theta waves, 4 to 8 Hz, emerge during deep meditation, light sleep, and the moments just before and after sleep. Delta waves, 0.5 to 4 Hz, occur during deep, dreamless sleep. Each of these states offers different access to the subconscious mind, but theta is particularly significant for belief reprogramming. In the theta state, the conscious mind's critical faculty is relaxed, and the subconscious becomes highly receptive to new information. This is the same state that dominates early childhood, which explains why beliefs formed during those years are so deeply embedded. Research in hypnotherapy and meditation suggests that when the brain is in theta, suggestions and affirmations bypass the logical, analytical filters and are accepted more readily by the subconscious. This could imply that theta states create a window of heightened neuroplasticity, a time when old neural pathways can be weakened and new ones formed with less resistance. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change its structure and function in response to experience. For decades, scientists believed that the adult brain was relatively fixed, but research over the past 30 years has shattered that assumption. Studies on stroke recovery, learning, and meditation have shown that the brain can form new neurons, create new synapses, and reorganize entire networks throughout life. This means that no matter how long you have held a limiting belief, your brain has the capacity to change it. The process of neuroplastic change involves several stages. First, existing neural pathways must be weakened. This happens through disuse. When you stop reinforcing a belief by consciously choosing different thoughts, the neurons that support that belief fire less frequently, and the connections begin to atrophy. Second, new pathways must be strengthened through repetition. This is where affirmations, visualization, and subliminal programming become powerful tools. By repeatedly exposing the subconscious to new, empowering beliefs, you build new neural networks that eventually become stronger than the old ones. Research on affirmations provides insight into this process. A study published in the journal Social, Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience used brain imaging to examine the neural effects of self-affirmation. Participants who engaged in self-affirmation exercises showed increased activity in the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, areas associated with self-related processing and positive valuation. Based on what we know about neural activation, we can assume that affirmations do not just make people feel better temporarily. they may actively rewire the brain's self-concept networks. Subliminal programming takes this process deeper by bypassing the conscious mind entirely. Subliminal messages are stimuli presented below the threshold of conscious awareness, typically through audio that is layered beneath music or nature sounds, or through visual cues presented too quickly to be consciously perceived. The theory is that while the conscious mind cannot detect these messages, the subconscious mind processes them and integrates them into existing belief structures. While research on subliminal messaging has produced mixed results, some studies suggest that subliminal cues can influence attitudes, emotions, and behaviors under certain conditions. It is important to distinguish between proven science and promising but emerging fields. The concept of neuroplasticity is well established and supported by extensive research. The effectiveness of affirmations has supportive evidence, particularly when combined with visualization and emotional engagement. Subliminal messaging, however, remains more controversial. Some researchers argue that its effects are minimal or require very specific conditions to produce measurable change. Others point to studies showing that subliminal priming can influence decision-making and emotional states, suggesting that the subconscious does process information outside conscious awareness. What we can say with confidence is that the subconscious mind is powerful, receptive, and capable of profound change. Whether through subliminal audio, meditation, affirmations, or hypnotherapy, the principle remains the same. Accessing states of consciousness where the critical mind is relaxed allows new information to be integrated more deeply. This could imply that the specific method matters less than the consistency, intention, and emotional resonance of the practice. Your belief in the process, your willingness to engage fully, and your commitment to repetition are the true drivers of transformation. Limiting beliefs operate like invisible barriers, shaping the boundaries of what you attempt, what you expect, and what you allow yourself to receive. They function not through overt prohibition, but through subtle sabotage. You may set a goal with genuine intention, only to find yourself procrastinating, losing motivation, or encountering unexpected obstacles. You may attract relationships or opportunities that mirror your deepest fears. You may achieve success only to unconsciously dismantle it. These patterns are not evidence of weakness or failure. They are evidence that your subconscious beliefs are running a program that contradicts your conscious desires. One of the most pervasive limiting beliefs is the belief in unworthiness. At its core, this belief tells you that you do not deserve success, love, health, or happiness. It is often formed in early childhood through experiences of conditional love, criticism, or neglect. If a child learns that affection is earned through performance, achievement, or compliance, they internalize the belief that their inherent worth is inadequate. This belief creates a lifelong pattern of overwork, people-pleasing, and self-sacrifice, driven by the unconscious hope that if they do enough, they will finally be worthy. Yet because the belief is subconscious, no amount of external achievement ever satisfies the inner sense of lack. Perfectionism is another manifestation of limiting beliefs, often rooted in fear of judgment or rejection. The perfectionist believes that mistakes are evidence of fundamental inadequacy, so they set impossibly high standards and punish themselves for falling short. Based on what we know about perfectionism, we can assume that it is not about excellence, but about protection. The subconscious logic is, if I am perfect, I cannot be criticized, rejected, or abandoned. Yet perfectionism becomes a prison, preventing risk-taking, creativity, and authentic self-expression. The person becomes so focused on avoiding failure that they never fully engage with their potential. Scarcity beliefs create chronic anxiety about resources. These beliefs often sound like, there is never enough, I have to struggle to survive, or if I have abundance, someone else will suffer. They create a zero-sum mentality where success is seen as limited and competition as necessary. People with scarcity beliefs may work compulsively, hoard resources, or sabotage financial success because wealth feels unsafe or undeserved. Research in behavioral economics shows that scarcity mindsets actually impair cognitive function, reducing the ability to make long-term decisions and plan effectively. This could imply that scarcity beliefs not only limit opportunities, but also diminish the mental resources needed to create change. Fear-based beliefs are perhaps the most paralyzing. These include beliefs like, the world is dangerous, people cannot be trusted, or if I try, I will fail. Fear-based beliefs activate the nervous system's threat response, keeping the body in a chronic state of stress. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes hyperactive, while the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational decision-making, becomes suppressed. In this state, the person perceives threats everywhere and avoids anything that feels risky. Opportunities are seen as dangers, and the comfort zone becomes a cage. Self-sabotage is the behavioral expression of limiting beliefs. It is the unconscious mechanism by which the mind maintains consistency with its core programming. If your subconscious believes you are not worthy of love, it will lead you to choose partners who are unavailable or unkind. If it believes success is dangerous, it will create distractions, procrastination, or crises just as you are about to break through. Self-sabotage is not conscious. You do not wake up and decide to ruin your life. Instead, subtle impulses, rationalizations, and emotions arise that steer you away from your goals. You convince yourself that now is not the right time, that you need more preparation, or that the goal was not really important anyway. These beliefs create feedback loops that reinforce themselves. When you act from a belief of unworthiness, you may not advocate for yourself, set boundaries, or pursue opportunities. As a result, you are treated in ways that confirm the belief. When you act from scarcity, you may make decisions based on fear rather than vision, leading to outcomes that perpetuate struggle. Each confirmation strengthens the neural pathway, making the belief feel more real and more inevitable. Over time, these patterns become so automatic that you cannot imagine another way of being. Your identity becomes fused with a limitation. Yet, here is the critical insight. Limiting beliefs are not truth. They are interpretations, stories constructed from incomplete information and filtered through the lens of past pain. The child who was criticized did not learn an objective fact about their inadequacy. They learned a survival strategy in an environment where approval was conditional. The adult who struggles with scarcity is not responding to current reality, but to old fears imprinted long ago. When you recognize that your beliefs are not facts but programs, you reclaim the power to choose different programming. Future research may clarify even more about the mechanisms by which beliefs influence physiology, perception, and outcomes. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology, the field exploring the connection between mind and immune function, suggest that beliefs can influence physical health. Research in quantum physics raises questions about the role of consciousness in shaping reality. While these areas remain speculative, they point to a profound possibility that beliefs are not passive reflections of reality, but active forces that shape experience at multiple levels. This could imply that changing your beliefs is not just about feeling better, but about fundamentally altering the trajectory of your life. Subliminal audio is designed to communicate directly with the subconscious mind, bypassing the conscious filters that often resist change. The concept has roots in early 20th century psychology, when researchers began exploring the threshold of conscious perception and the influence of stimuli presented below that threshold. While early claims about subliminal advertising were sensationalized and largely debunked, modern approaches to subliminal programming are more nuanced and grounded in principles of neuroplasticity, repetition, and receptive brainwave states. The basic principle of subliminal audio is that affirmations, suggestions, or positive statements are embedded in audio tracks at a volume or frequency that the conscious mind cannot clearly discern, but the subconscious mind can still process. These affirmations are often layered beneath music, nature sounds, or binaural beats, creating a relaxing auditory environment that encourages the brain to shift into alpha or theta states. In these states, the critical, analytical mind is less active, and the subconscious becomes more receptive to new information. Binaural beats are often used in subliminal audio to facilitate brainwave entrainment. This technique involves playing two slightly different frequencies in each ear, and the brain perceives a third frequency equal to the difference between the two. For example, if a 400 Hz tone is played in one ear and a 404 Hz tone in the other, the brain perceives a 4 Hz beat, which corresponds to theta brainwaves. Research on binaural beats suggests that they can influence brainwave activity, mood, and cognitive performance, although effects vary among individuals. This could imply that binaural beats serve as a tool to guide the brain into states where subconscious reprogramming is more effective. The history of subliminal messaging is filled with both intrigue and skepticism. In the 1950s, a marketing executive claimed that flashing subliminal messages during films increased concession sales, sparking fears about mind control and manipulation. Subsequent research largely discredited these claims, showing that subliminal messages, if they had any effect at all, were weak and short-lived. However, more recent studies have shown that subliminal priming can influence attitudes and behaviors under specific conditions. For example, research published in the journal Emotion found that subliminal exposure to emotional faces influenced participants' emotional responses and decision-making. It is important to approach subliminal audio with realistic expectations. Scholarly reviews of subliminal messaging research suggest that while subliminal stimuli can influence perception and behavior in controlled laboratory settings, the effects are often small and context-dependent. Subliminal messages are unlikely to override deeply held beliefs or compel behavior that contradicts core values. However, When used as part of a broader practice that includes conscious intention, emotional engagement, and repetition, subliminal audio may support the process of belief change by reinforcing new patterns at a subconscious level. The effectiveness of subliminal audio likely depends on several factors. First, the quality and clarity of the affirmations matter. Vague or poorly constructed affirmations may have little impact, while clear, positive, and emotionally resonant affirmations are more likely to be integrated. Second, the state of receptivity matters. Listening to subliminal audio while relaxed, meditating, or sleeping may produce stronger effects than listening while distracted or stressed. Third, repetition is essential. Just as limiting beliefs were formed through repeated exposure to negative messages, new beliefs require repeated exposure to positive ones. Listening once or twice is unlikely to produce lasting change, but daily listening over weeks or months allows new neural pathways to strengthen. Theta-wave frequencies are particularly relevant for subliminal reprogramming because they represent the brain's natural state of heightened suggestibility. During theta, the conscious mind is quiet and the subconscious is open. This is the state accessed during hypnosis, deep meditation, and the twilight moments between waking and sleep. Based on what we know about brainwave states, we can assume that theta provides a window where old beliefs can be softened and new ones introduced with less resistance. This is why many subliminal audio programs are designed for sleep or deep relaxation when the brain naturally enters theta. Another important element is the emotional tone of the affirmations. Neuroscience research shows that emotionally charged information is more likely to be remembered and integrated than neutral information. This is because the amygdala, which processes emotions, tags emotionally significant experiences for priority storage in memory. When affirmations are paired with feelings of gratitude, joy, love, or relief, they are more likely to be encoded deeply in the subconscious. This could imply that the most effective subliminal programs are those that not only present affirmations, but also evoke positive emotional states. It is also worth noting that subliminal audio is not a magic solution. It is a tool that works best when combined with conscious effort, self-awareness, and behavioral change. If you listen to subliminal affirmations about confidence, but continue to engage in self-critical thinking and avoidant behavior, the affirmations may have limited impact. However, if you pair subliminal listening with practices like journaling, meditation, therapy, and conscious reframing of negative thoughts, the cumulative effect can be profound. The subconscious and conscious minds work together, and transformation occurs when both are aligned toward the same goal. Reprogramming the subconscious mind is not a passive process. It requires intention, consistency, and patience. While subliminal audio can support the process, lasting transformation involves a holistic approach that includes conscious awareness, emotional healing, and behavioral change. The following steps provide a comprehensive guide to reprogramming limiting beliefs and unlocking your full potential. The first step is creating a safe and supportive environment for change. Transformation often brings up resistance, fear, and discomfort. Old beliefs do not dissolve quietly. They may intensify before they release, creating what some call a healing crisis. Having a safe space, both physically and emotionally, allows you to navigate this process with care. This might include a quiet room for meditation, supportive relationships, access to therapy or coaching, and practices that ground and calm the nervous system. If you attempt to reprogram your mind while surrounded by chaos, stress, or negativity, the process will be much more difficult. The second step is identifying your specific limiting beliefs. This requires honest self-reflection. Many limiting beliefs are so deeply embedded that they feel like facts rather than interpretations. To uncover them, pay attention to recurring patterns in your life. Where do you feel stuck? What goals do you avoid? What fears arise when you imagine success? What critical thoughts loop in your mind? Journaling can be a powerful tool for this exploration. Write about your earliest memories of feeling not good enough, unsafe, or inadequate. Notice the themes that emerge. These themes point to the core beliefs that have been shaping your life. Once you have identified limiting beliefs, the third step is to challenge and reframe them. This involves questioning the validity of the belief. Is it objectively true, or is it an interpretation? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? If you believe "I always fail," examine your life for examples where you succeeded, persisted, or learned. These examples exist, but the limiting belief filters them out. Reframing involves creating a new belief that is both empowering and believable. If "I am worthy of love" feels too far from your current belief, start with "I am learning to see my worth," or "I deserve kindness." The new belief should feel like a stretch, but not a fantasy. The fourth step is using subliminal audio strategically. Choose a program that aligns with your specific goals and values. Listen daily, ideally during times when your mind is relaxed and receptive. Many people find that listening during sleep is most effective, as the brain naturally enters theta states during the night. Others prefer to listen during meditation, yoga, or quiet activities. The key is consistency. Set a commitment to listen for at least 21 days. As research suggests, it takes approximately 3 weeks for new neural pathways to begin forming. For deeper transformation, commit to 90 days. Before each listening session, set a clear intention. Take a moment to breathe deeply, center yourself, and state your goal. You might say, "I am open to releasing limiting beliefs and embracing my true potential." Or, "I trust that my subconscious is reprogramming for confidence and abundance." This intention activates the conscious mind's partnership with the subconscious, creating alignment and amplifying the effectiveness of the process. The fifth step is reinforcing new beliefs through daily practices. Subliminal audio works best when paired with conscious reinforcement. This includes speaking affirmations aloud, visualizing yourself living from the new belief, and taking actions that align with it. If your new belief is "I am capable and confident," identify one small action each day that expresses this belief. It might be speaking up in a meeting, setting a boundary, or trying something new. Each aligned action strengthens the new neural pathway and builds evidence that the new belief is true. Visualization is particularly powerful because the subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined experiences. When you vividly imagine yourself succeeding, feeling confident, or experiencing abundance, your brain activates the same neural networks as if the experience were happening. This primes the mind and body for the desired outcome. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day visualizing your new reality. Engage all your senses. What do you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell in this new version of your life. The more detailed and emotionally engaging the visualization, the more effective it is. The sixth step is addressing resistance and setbacks. As you begin to reprogram your mind, old beliefs may fight back. You may experience self-doubt, fear, or situations that seem to confirm the old belief. This is normal and expected. The subconscious resists change because change feels threatening to its sense of safety and identity. When resistance arises, meet it with compassion rather than judgment. Acknowledge the fear, thank it for trying to protect you, and gently affirm your commitment to growth. Journaling about resistance can also help. Write out the fears and doubts, then respond with the perspective of your wiser, more compassionate self. The seventh step is tracking progress and celebrating wins. Transformation is often subtle. You may not wake up one day completely changed, but you will notice small shifts. Perhaps you feel a bit more confident in a situation that used to trigger anxiety. Perhaps you take a risk you would have avoided before. Perhaps your inner dialogue becomes a little kinder. Track these shifts in a journal. Celebrate each one, no matter how small. Positive reinforcement strengthens the new neural pathways and builds momentum. Understanding the timeline of transformation helps set realistic expectations. In the first 21 days, you are planting seeds. The changes may be subtle, primarily happening beneath the surface as new neural connections begin to form. You might notice increased awareness of your thoughts and patterns, occasional moments of new perspective, or slight shifts in emotion. Between days 21 and 45, the new pathways strengthen, and you may begin to see more consistent changes in behavior and mindset. Old patterns lose their grip, and new responses feel more natural. Between days 45 and 90, transformation becomes more visible and stable. The new beliefs integrate more fully, and your external reality begins to reflect the internal changes. Beyond 90 days, the transformation deepens and becomes part of your identity. The new beliefs feel true, not because you are forcing them, but because your brain has rewired itself. You have built evidence through experience, and the old limitations feel distant and irrelevant. This does not mean the work is over. The mind requires ongoing maintenance, and deeper layers of belief may continue to surface. But the foundational shift has occurred, and you have gained the tools and awareness to continue evolving. To understand the power of belief reprogramming, it helps to look at real-life examples of transformation. While individual results vary, countless people have reported profound changes in their lives after consistently engaging with subliminal audio, affirmations, and subconscious reprogramming practices. These stories illustrate the potential of the mind to shift from limitation to possibility. Consider the story of Sarah, a composite character representing many people who have struggled with beliefs of unworthiness. Sarah spent most of her life feeling like an imposter. Despite earning degrees, building a successful career, and receiving external validation, she felt fundamentally inadequate. She believed that if people truly knew her, they would see through the facade and reject her. This belief led to chronic anxiety, overwork, and difficulty accepting compliments or opportunities. After identifying this core belief, Sarah began a daily practice of subliminal listening, affirmations, and self-compassion exercises. Over the course of several months, she noticed subtle shifts. She began to internalize positive feedback rather than dismissing it. She took risks she would have avoided before. Slowly, the belief of unworthiness loosened its grip, and a new sense of self began to emerge. Sarah's story is not one of instant transformation, but of gradual, cumulative change that reshaped her internal and external reality. Another example is Michael, who struggled with scarcity beliefs around money. Growing up in a family that experienced financial instability, Michael internalized the belief that money was scarce, hard to earn, and never enough. As an adult, despite earning a decent income, he lived in constant anxiety about finances. He avoided investing, hoarded resources, and felt guilty when he spent money on himself. After recognizing these beliefs, Michael began working with subliminal audio focused on abundance and financial confidence. He paired this with practical actions, like educating himself about personal finance, setting financial goals, and practicing gratitude for what he had. Over time, his relationship with money shifted. He felt less anxious, made more confident decisions, and began to see opportunities rather than threats. His financial situation improved, not because of external circumstances, but because his mindset allowed him to engage differently with money. Then there is the story of Lisa, who held deep beliefs about relationships. She believed that love was conditional, that people always left, and that vulnerability was dangerous. These beliefs, rooted in childhood experiences of abandonment, created a pattern of choosing emotionally unavailable partners and sabotaging intimacy. After years of repeating this cycle, Lisa committed to reprogramming her subconscious. She used subliminal audio, therapy, and conscious practices like journaling and boundary setting. She also worked on building a secure relationship with herself, learning to meet her own needs and validate her own worth. Gradually, her relationship patterns changed. She found herself attracted to healthier partners and able to sustain deeper intimacy. The belief that she was unlovable dissolved, replaced by a growing sense of her own inherent worthiness. These stories share common themes. First, transformation required awareness. Each person had to recognize that their beliefs were not facts, but learned patterns. Second, transformation required consistent practice. None of these changes happened overnight. They unfolded over weeks and months of daily commitment. Third, transformation required a holistic approach. Subliminal audio was part of the process, but so were conscious practices, behavioral changes, and often professional support. Fourth, transformation was gradual. There were setbacks, doubts, and moments of regression. But the overall trajectory moved toward growth and freedom. It is important to note the caveats and individual variability in these outcomes. Not everyone experiences change at the same pace or in the same way. Some people are more suggestible and responsive to subliminal programming, while others may require more intensive therapeutic work. Some limiting beliefs are deeply entrenched and connected to trauma, requiring specialized support to heal. The effectiveness of reprogramming practices also depends on factors like consistency, emotional engagement, and the quality of the tools used. From a scholarly perspective, these anecdotal accounts are valuable, but must be interpreted with caution. Self-reported outcomes are subject to bias, placebo effects, and the influence of other variables that may not be controlled or acknowledged. However, the consistency of themes across many reports suggests that something meaningful is occurring. Based on what we know about neuroplasticity, affirmations, and the power of intention, we can assume that these practices are engaging real mechanisms of change, even if the precise pathways remain partially understood. What these stories ultimately demonstrate is possibility. They show that limiting beliefs, no matter how long held or deeply embedded, are not permanent. They can be questioned, softened, and replaced. The mind is not a fixed entity, but a dynamic system capable of profound transformation. The person you have been is not the person you must remain. The beliefs that have shaped your past do not have to determine your future. This is the promise of reprogramming, and it is a promise grounded in both science and lived experience. While subliminal audio works beneath conscious awareness, combining it with conscious practices like affirmations and visualization creates a powerful synergy. These techniques engage both the subconscious and conscious mind, reinforcing new beliefs from multiple angles and accelerating the process of transformation. Affirmations are positive statements that declare a desired reality as if it is already true. They work by interrupting negative thought patterns and replacing them with empowering alternatives. The key to effective affirmations is that they must be specific, positive, believable, and emotionally resonant. A vague affirmation like, "I am successful," may have little impact, whereas a specific affirmation like, "I am confident in my abilities and open to new opportunities," provides the mind with a clearer direction. When crafting affirmations, focus on the beliefs you want to replace. If your limiting belief is, "I am not good enough," your affirmation might be, "I am worthy and enough exactly as I am." If your belief is, "Success is for others," your affirmation could be, "I am capable of achieving my goals and deserving of success." The affirmation should feel like a stretch, but not a lie. If "I am wealthy and abundant" feels too disconnected from your current reality, start with, "I am open to abundance and learning to manage money wisely." As the new belief strengthens, you can adjust the affirmation to reflect deeper levels of change. Speak affirmations aloud whenever possible. The act of speaking engages multiple senses. Hearing your own voice declare the new belief, and this multisensory engagement enhances encoding in the brain. Repeat affirmations throughout the day, particularly in moments of doubt or challenge. When an old limiting belief surfaces, consciously counter it with an affirmation. Over time, this practice trains the mind to default to empowering thoughts rather than limiting ones. Visualization is the practice of creating detailed mental images of desired outcomes. It is used by athletes, performers, and successful people across fields because it works. Visualization activates the same neural networks involved in actual experience, priming the brain and body for success. When you visualize yourself confidently giving a presentation, your brain rehearses the neural patterns associated with confidence, fluency, and calm. When the real event occurs, those patterns are already activated, making the desired behavior more accessible. To practice visualization effectively, find a quiet space and close your eyes. Take several deep breaths to relax your body and mind. Then, imagine yourself living from your new belief. If you are reprogramming a belief about worthiness, visualize yourself receiving love, appreciation, and success with ease and grace. See the details. What are you wearing? Where are you? Who is with you? What are you saying and doing? How does your body feel? Engage all your senses to make the visualization as vivid as possible. Crucially, focus on the emotions associated with the visualization. The subconscious mind responds powerfully to emotion. If you can generate feelings of joy, gratitude, pride, or peace during visualization, those emotions become associated with the new belief, reinforcing it at a deep level. Some people find it helpful to visualize a specific future event, like a successful job interview or a loving relationship. Others prefer to visualize the general state of being they desire, like feeling confident, peaceful, or abundant. Combining affirmations and visualization with subliminal audio creates a comprehensive reprogramming protocol. You might start your day by speaking affirmations and visualizing your desired reality. Listen to subliminal audio during the day or before sleep, and end the day with journaling about any shifts or insights. This multi-layered approach engages the subconscious from multiple angles, increasing the likelihood of lasting change. When blocks arise in the change process, it is important to address them with curiosity rather than frustration. Blocks often indicate that a deeper belief or unhealed wound is present. For example, if you are working on abundance beliefs but keep hitting resistance, there may be an underlying belief that abundance is unsafe, selfish, or undeserved. Journaling about the resistance can bring these deeper layers to the surface. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I let go of this belief? Or, what is this belief protecting me from? The answers often reveal the roots of the limitation. Therapeutic support can be invaluable for addressing deep-seated beliefs, particularly those connected to trauma. Modalities like cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, somatic therapy, and hypnotherapy are designed to access and reprogram subconscious patterns. While self-directed practices like subliminal audio and affirmations are powerful, they are not a substitute for professional help when needed. If you find that your limiting beliefs are tied to significant trauma, or if the process of reprogramming brings up overwhelming emotions, seeking support from a trained therapist is both wise and compassionate. Scientific theories supporting affirmation and visualization practices include self-affirmation theory, which suggests that affirming core values and positive self-concepts can buffer against stress and enhance resilience. Research in sports psychology has shown that mental rehearsal improves performance, and neuroscience studies have demonstrated that imagined actions activate motor pathways in the brain. These findings suggest that affirmations and visualization are not mere positive thinking, but practices that engage real physiological and neurological mechanisms. Unlocking your full potential is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. It is the ongoing process of expanding your sense of what is possible, releasing limitations as they arise, and stepping more fully into the truth of who you are. Reprogramming limiting beliefs is a foundational step in this journey, but it opens the door to so much more. From a psychological perspective, human potential is often constrained not by actual ability, but by perceived limitations. Most people use only a fraction of their cognitive, emotional, and creative capacities because they have learned to see themselves as small, limited, and fixed. Self-actualization, a concept introduced by psychologist Abraham Maslow, refers to the realization of one's full potential. Maslow suggested that self-actualized individuals are those who have transcended limiting beliefs and fears, allowing their true nature to express itself fully. This could imply that the work of reprogramming beliefs is not just about fixing problems, but about unlocking a deeper, more expansive way of being. As you continue to release limiting beliefs, you will likely notice a growing sense of confidence. Confidence is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite fear. It is the trust that you can handle challenges, learn from mistakes, and adapt to circumstances. As your subconscious beliefs shift from "I cannot" to "I can," confidence naturally emerges. You begin to take risks that once felt impossible. You pursue goals that once seemed out of reach. You speak your truth, set boundaries, and advocate for yourself. Confidence builds through accumulated evidence. Each time you act from a new belief and experience a positive outcome, the belief is reinforced. If you believe "I am capable" and then successfully complete a challenging task, your brain encodes that experience as evidence. Over time, the accumulation of evidence creates a stable, resilient sense of self that is less vulnerable to setbacks and criticism. This is why action is so important. Beliefs change not only through internal work, but through lived experience that proves the new belief is valid. Setting bold goals becomes natural as limiting beliefs dissolve. Goals that once seemed unrealistic or impossible begin to feel attainable. You give yourself permission to dream bigger, to want more, and to pursue paths that align with your deepest values and desires. Goal setting is most effective when it is rooted in intrinsic motivation rather than external validation. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? What would bring me joy, fulfillment, and meaning? Rather than, what do others expect of me? Or, what will make me look successful? Authenticity in goal setting ensures that the pursuit is energizing rather than depleting. As you pursue new goals, you will inevitably face challenges. This is where the deeper work of reprogramming pays off. With empowering beliefs, challenges are seen as opportunities for growth rather than threats to your worth. Setbacks become learning experiences rather than proof of inadequacy. The resilience that comes from a reprogrammed subconscious allows you to persist through difficulty, adapt your strategies, and maintain faith in your capacity to succeed. The lifelong nature of subconscious transformation means that the work is never fully complete, and this is not a limitation, but a gift. As you evolve, new layers of belief may surface. Old patterns may reappear in new contexts. This is normal and expected. Each layer you address deepens your self-awareness and strengthens your capacity for growth. The tools you have learned, subliminal audio, affirmations, visualization, journaling, and conscious action, are tools you can return to again and again. It is also important to recognize that transformation is not linear. There will be periods of rapid growth and periods of plateau. There will be moments of clarity and moments of confusion. The key is to trust the process and remain committed, even when progress feels slow. Based on what we know about neuroplasticity and learning, we can assume that growth is happening even when it is not immediately visible. The brain is constantly reorganizing itself, and the seeds you plant today will bear fruit in time. Community and support play a significant role in sustaining transformation. Surround yourself with people who believe in your potential, who support your growth, and who challenge you to expand. Seek out mentors, coaches, friends, or groups that align with your values and aspirations. Community provides accountability, encouragement, and perspective, all of which are invaluable on the journey of transformation. Ultimately, unlocking your full potential is about reclaiming your birthright. You were not born with limiting beliefs. You were born with infinite potential, curiosity, and openness. Somewhere along the way, you learned to see yourself as limited, but that was never the truth. The truth is that you are capable, worthy, and deserving of a life that reflects your highest vision. The truth is that your mind is powerful, adaptable, and designed for growth. The truth is that change is always possible, no matter where you are starting from. As you listen to these words, as you engage with the practices of reprogramming, as you take action aligned with your new beliefs, you are stepping into a new version of yourself. You are breaking free from the invisible barriers that have held you back. You are unlocking potential that has always been within you, waiting for permission to emerge. This is not a fantasy or wishful thinking. This is the reality of transformation, grounded in neuroscience, psychology, and the lived experiences of countless people who have walked this path before you. The journey continues. The potential within you is vast and still unfolding. Trust yourself, trust the process, and know that with every breath, with every intention, with every moment of awareness, you are becoming more fully who you were always meant to be. You are free. You are capable. You are unlimited.